Hi guys, welcome to the Soft Skills channel. This is Jameel. Hi, and today we will talk about the generic soft skills model that applies to almost any profession. Imagine if you're going to the engineering school, they will give you a very well-defined curriculum of what you will study in year 1, year 2 and so on. Similarly, if you're going to the law school or the med school or any other profession, each of them have a very well-defined series of subjects that you will study over time. Now, here is the problem. Soft skills or human skills, which are equally important in the workplace, there is no such curriculum which is taught. And therefore, the mission of my channel is to not only build awareness around what these soft skills are, but also to equip you with the right tools so that you are successful with these in the workplace. My name is Jameel Hai, and my passion is to help you build real life skills for your job and career that they don't teach you in college. So let's explore the soft skills model. So I have divided this soft skills model into 4 levels. Level 1 is the fundamentals. Level 2 is the individual success. Level 3 is the managerial success. And level 4 is leadership success. So let's explore them one by one. Now the good news is that for each of the skills I'll be talking about today, I have either created videos for them already on my channel, or I will be creating more videos in the near future. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel on YouTube and follow me on social media. Now the first level is the fundamentals. These are the set of 5 skills you need to have even before you start your first job. And don't worry, if you have already started your first job or you are already like in the middle of your career, there is always a good time to start building on these. These 5 are presentation skills, problem solving skills, communication skills, self-awareness, and integrity and trust. Now let's just briefly talk about them one by one. First one is presentation skills. No matter what kind of job you will be doing, in some shape or form you will be presenting. And presentation, by the way, just doesn't mean only a PowerPoint slide. You might just be presenting or talking to somebody on a Zoom call, but you might be selling something or you might be conveying an idea. That is also presentation. So having the basic fundamental presentation skills is critical. The second one is problem solving. I have made a lot of videos about this subject. And no matter what job you're doing, you are required to do some basic level of fundamental problem solving in that job. Whether you are just delivering a pizza or you are a senior director in a big company, you will be required to do problem solving in some shape or form. The third skill is communication skill. Now this includes verbal, non-verbal, written communication. All of these are important because of course, you will not have a job without being able to communicate. The fourth one is self-awareness. Now, once again, a topic on which I've made several videos already. You can check them out. But self-awareness is such an important skill. It's the skill of knowing yourself. And the sooner you acquire it, the better it will be, because sometimes, you might be in the wrong career. You might be in the wrong profession. You might be in the wrong job. And therefore, being able to identify yourself deeply will really help you make the right choices, not only for your current job, but for your future jobs as well. And finally, in the fundamentals level, you've got integrity and trust. Now, integrity and trust sounds more like values than skills. But believe it or not, a lot of times in your career, you will be confronted with some tough choices. You will be enticed sometimes to do the wrong thing. Or, sometimes, especially in government jobs, you could be bribed and all those kind of things. And that's where applying your integrity, applying your personal value of integrity will almost become a skill for you. And as you demonstrate integrity, as you exercise integrity, that will allow you to gain trust of your colleagues, which will go a long way in your professional development and your success. Now let's move to level 2. Level 2 is called individual success. Now you have the fundamentals in the bag with level 1. Level 2 will allow you to become successful individually in your job. Now I've put 6 skills in this level. These are action orientation, drive for results, priority setting, learning agility, listening, and command skills. Now let's explore them one by one. Let's first talk about action orientation. Nobody wants to hire someone who is just laid back, not interested in taking any action, just going by the flow, because that's not the kind of person a company wants to hire, because he or she will not be very effective. So action orientation is a skill of your bias towards action, your ability to take action when you see a problem or you see a situation. And that is why this is so important. I'll be making a video very soon about this. The second one is drive for results. No matter what job you are doing, you will be given certain targets, and it will be your duty to make sure that you are working towards achieving those goals. Sometimes those goals are very easy to see, but sometimes they are not. So your ability to drive towards those results and make sure that you are eliminating any roadblocks in your way to getting those targets is an important skill to have. So the third skill on this level is priority setting. Now, once again, with so much going on in any job, and especially nowadays when there are a lot of jobs being combined, there are a lot of conflicting and different priorities for any job, and therefore it's important for you to be able to have the skill to do your priority setting. You may have 10 different goals or 10 different objectives to achieve, but you might just take a step back and say that, okay, I'm gonna just focus on these 3 this month, and maybe the next 3 the next month. That ability to organize your priorities is super important. The fourth skill is learning agility. In my recent video, which I made about the top skills required in 2022, I did mention the point about learning agility because the life cycle of skills is actually shortening. There are new skills coming up, especially if you're in the tech sector. By the time you learn one software or one new technology, the next technology is available. So your ability to quickly learn new skills is very important in your individual success. Now, the next skill in individual success is listening. Listening is an extremely important skill. We talk a lot about being able to speak or being able to write, but we often tend to ignore listening. However, listening is often ignored, and this causes a lot of problems, especially when you're working with a group of people. Your inability to listen effectively can cause a lot of problems. I've made a separate video on this topic where you can find ways to improve your listening skills. And the last one in this level is command skills. Now, what is command skills? As you become an expert in a certain area, you want to be seen as someone who knows this area very well. A lot of times people would say that, oh, this guy is an expert at this. You need to find what is that for you. Because if you want to be individually successful in your role, you want to be seen as an expert in a certain area or a leader in a certain area. And that's why commanding skills is an important skill set on its own. Watch out for a video soon coming on this subject. All right, now let's move to level 3. Level 3 is called managerial success. And I've got 8 skills lined up here. Notice one thing, as these levels are going up, the number of skills are also going up. This is an important concept because as you grow further in your career, your technical skills or hard skills requirement goes down, but your people skills or human skills or soft skills, whatever you want to call it, that goes up linearly. And that's why you can see that as these levels are going up, so is the number of skills. So the first skill I have under managerial success is conflict management. This is the fundamental bedrock of being successful as a manager. As a team leader or as someone who is managing a group of people, you will encounter a lot of conflicts with other managers, other departments, with other outside companies. So therefore, being able to manage conflicts effectively is an important skill to have. The next skill is directing and developing people. Now, of course, if you are a manager, you should be able to give directions to people, and at the same time, you should be able to develop people as well, because your job is not just to become a dictator and give directions, but it's also about how you are enriching the careers of the people who are reporting to you. So therefore, these two are very important skills. A video coming up on this very soon. The next one on this level is peer relationships. How do you cultivate relationships with the other managers, your other peers in the organization? Because if you maintain, of course, you could have conflict at times, but in general, you need to create that environment of positivity and positive relationships, because those will help you get things done quickly. Sometimes if you are as a manager fighting with other managers all the time, you will always run into trouble. But if you are maintaining strong relationships with your other peers, then getting the job done or getting things accomplished for your team will become much easier. The next skill on this level is business acumen. As a manager, you need to understand the overall working of your business. As an example, you could be working in supply chain, but as a manager, your job is not just to understand the fundamentals of supply chain, but you need to understand the overall business model as well. What is driving the profit in the business? How is the P&L looking like? All those things are a part of building business acumen, which is important for you to understand and run your area successfully. The next skill is standing alone. Now, standing alone might sound a little bit similar to conflict management, but it's different. Standing alone is really about how sometimes you as a manager may have to take an unpopular stand or have a view which is not really bought in by other people, and then how do you go around and rally the resources or convince other people to be aligned to your point of view. A lot of times taking that unpopular stand, although it's difficult, but that's the right thing for you to do, and therefore it's an important skill to develop. The next skill on this level is decision quality. As a manager, the quality of your decision really matters a lot. You might be sometimes making a wrong decision that might be costing your business money, or it might incur a loss, or it might hurt one of your associates, and therefore what kind of decisions you make is extremely important. And although this might sound like a very fluffy skill to have, there are specific ways on how you can improve your decision quality, a topic on which I'll be making a video pretty soon. The next skill is comfort with higher management. As a manager, you need to make sure that you are comfortably able to communicate and interact with the senior leadership in the organization, because that is very important for you to not only drive visibility of the good work you and your team might be doing, but at the same time, whenever there is a crisis or there's a problem, you should not be someone, as a manager especially, who is like really scared of going into a boardroom or really scared talking to like a director or a VP or the president of the company. You need to make sure that you're building that level of trust and that level of comfort with your senior leaders in the organization, so that if there is a problem or if there is even a good news that you want to share, you can do that very easily. And then finally on this level, the most important skill is emotional intelligence. Remember, this is the managerial success level. You are managing a group of people, and whenever you are doing so, you need to make sure that you are emotionally aware of what's going on with your people. Especially in these days with COVID and the pandemic going on, there are so many different emotional ups and downs people are going through that sometimes you might just be focused on work, but you need to be aware of what's going on in the lives of your team. Sometimes one of your team members might be having a bad day at work because their children might not be feeling well, or somebody in their family would have tested positive, or all those kind of things can happen. So just being able to make sure that you are connected with your team, not only at the work level but at the emotional level, is important. And there is much more to emotional intelligence than just what I just covered here, so more to come on that in a separate video too. And finally, we come to level 4, which is leadership success. So the first skill under leadership success is networking. As a leader, it's important that you build formal and informal networks inside and outside of the organization, so that you are aware of what's going on, first of all, and then also having that network gives you the visibility on who can help you to achieve your larger organizational goals as a leader. Networking is also a great skill to have in general for your even personal success, and I've made a separate video about this which you can find somewhere here. Now the next skill on this level is strategic agility. Now this sounds a little bit complicated, but strategic agility is simply your ability to see ahead, your ability to anticipate future trends, and that only comes with time. So it's a complicated skill to develop, and that's why it's on level 4. But it's an important skill to have as a business leader, because your foresight as to what's happening in the market, what kind of trends could happen, what kind of trends could unfold, or is there like a potential disruption which could come and completely change our business model. Being able to sniff those things or being able to forecast those things is a part of the skill, and it's extremely important. The next skill is managing vision and purpose. Of course, as a leader, you are expected to have a vision so that you are very clear and you're able to articulate where you want to take your specific function or your organization in general. But it's not just sufficient to have a vision only, but you need to make sure that you are able to manage that vision or that purpose smartly, and as the different roadblocks come in your way, you are able to get those out, and you are able to make some very clear choices strategically about what supports your vision and what doesn't support, and you're able to make those decisions smart. The next skill at the leadership level is innovation management. Now, why is it important? Because no matter what job you're doing or what kind of leadership position you are, you are confronted with a lot of innovation, whether it's happening inside your company or outside in your industry. There's a lot going on, but just thinking about innovation as a fancy idea is not sufficient. Your ability to manage an innovation inside the business and make sure that the culture of the organization is adapting to that innovation is all a part of this skill. And of course, in the time we are living in, it's all about innovation regardless of the industry. So this is a very important skill to have. The next skill is staffing and hiring. Of course, as a leader, you need to make sure that you have the skill set of being able to create a staffing plan. If you are starting a completely new role and you're building a team, that ability to estimate the size of the staff that you would need, or if you have inherited an organization, being able to manage and measure the work and accordingly decide on the staffing, and also at the same time your ability to hire the right talent is of paramount significance, because no matter which industry you are in, the hiring talent is always a tough challenge. And of course, you sometimes may or may not have a very strong HR department. So as a leader, that ability is very helpful. The next skill for leadership success is being able to motivate people. Of course, when you create that vision and the purpose that we talked about in one of the previous skills at this level, how do you rally the resources? How do you energize the people towards that vision? So your ability to motivate people towards a certain goal is of course a critical skill to have as a leader. The next skill in this area is external focus. Now, external focus, as I mentioned in one of the previous skills, becomes a very, very significant skill, because a lot of times there's a pitfall in every organization where the leaders and the individuals are so internally focused that they don't really get an idea on what's happening out there in the market. And suddenly there could be an external factor or an external disruption that might come and completely change their business model. And therefore, constantly having that external focus, that ability to see what's happening outside, getting networked with people outside the organization is a critical skill to have. And finally, as a leader, you need to be good at complex process management. Now, what is this? So imagine you have inherited an organization, or you are just starting to lead an organization where there is a lot of different changes happening. So there are a lot of mini projects going on, and it's your job to orchestrate that all of these individual projects are helping you achieve the combined vision you have created for the organization. That will require you to have a very high level understanding of what each of these processes is doing, and that will give you the capability of ensuring that none of these processes at any point in time are conflicting with each other, or they are wasting the resources in the organization. So your ability to understand how these separate but individual tasks or projects are working together is important, so that you can give the right direction. So I hope you found this model helpful. In the coming weeks and months, I'll be making more specific videos to go deeper into each of the skills I have mentioned on this model. And we will also be trying to make a more specific soft skills model by profession, which should help you even further. Thanks for watching.